Welcome in the room. I just realized that I created a link for today, and I used my computer to do it. So when I went live, the link I've been sharing is not working. So I am going to make sure that we are using the right link for those that want to come in the room. And yeah, let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's see here. I thought I could see. Let me see here. Oh, that's it. That's the right link. Like when you are working by yourself and building a team, you just learn how to work on the go. Learn how to work on the go. So, welcome into the room, fam. Welcome into the room. We're gonna do some breathing in just a moment. I'm making sure that this link is live right here. How are you doing if you're in the room? Let me see here. Sorry. So there we go. I have to put that update there. So let's come on in the room, fam, wherever you are. And we're just going to take a breath, and we're going to do some breath work in a minute and just some vocal toning to get into this space of preparing our mind, our heart for the conversation that we're going to have today. All right? So let's just take a moment and just breathe. Abba, Father, Mother God, Creator, Divine Intelligence, by all the many names you're known to call. Thank you for this time, for this gathering, for this assembly, for this place that we get to show up and be present and accounted for. We just thank you, let it be so, and so it is. Ashe and amen. So let's just come on in the room. I'm just going to take a moment to breathe in again. And breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, just relax. You need to relax your shoulders and drop your shoulders. Just repeat after me. And go. And breathe and out. In and out. We're going to switch to ah. Ah. And breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. In and out. And relax. And just be in this space for a moment. And just let the sound and what you experience settle. And if you just want to let out a you can do that, and it's all good. It's just to clear your energy. All right. If you're watching a replay, let me know how that felt in your body. We're going to be hosting a Your Voice is Medicine Sound Immersion, March 19th. And if you enjoyed that experience, the link is in my bio for how to really take this, your voice, and really expand it in your own personal and spiritual work. So, fam, we're getting into our book. We're getting into our book today, and I'm excited because on last Monday we started our premium group in the inner chamber, where we're basically diving deeper into our book, practicing the presence. And if you're new here, I felt compelled to choose this book and talk through this book because a lot of people are deconstructing, a lot of people are navigating meditation, their spiritual practice, and sometimes you can lose focus on what it means to really be in that space of being in the presence of God, being in the presence of yourself, and all those things. So, we're really having this conversation to deconstruct and to really evolve and expand in our self expression and in our awareness of how to connect to the God within. So, I'm going to read you the line that really stood out to me from Monday. Um, and I want to just kind of take it from there. And I just had it here. Let's see, here we go. Here's the line right here. Many have been destroyed by the very things they have devoted their lives to seeking. But no one has ever been destroyed by seeking and finding God. And Monday was really just if I could do the recap just to, just share, it was really a reminder that when we're going into the presence of God, when we're going into meditation, when we're getting into that place of seeking divine intelligence, whatever you call, to not go in with any attachment, with any request, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you already have the very thing that you are asking and requesting. So it's like one of those things that say, why would you ask for something that you already know you have access to? So when you go into meditation, when you go into prayer, to go in like a beggar, or go in like you're invaluable, or that you don't have access to it, would be of no benefit to you. Because God has already given you everything that you need. And not only has He given you everything, or she has given you everything that you need, you already have access to all the possibilities that are available to you to manifest what it is that you desire. So let's go with this. To comprehend the full meaning of the master statement, we must understand the nature of God. Probably all of us have been taught from childhood that there is a God, but few of us know what God is. If we could put aside all books, including the Bible, and live with but one question in our mind: what is God? Meditating day and night on that question, ultimately, God itself would reveal the answer. We would have to do this, however, with a mind completely free of all concepts of God, and begin as if we were completely alone with God. I love this because, just to bring more conversation from Monday, it was really just sharing how in my deconstruction, in my new awareness, I can, let me say it this way, everything began to unravel and unfold because I was now aware that my belief system was really attached to somebody else's belief system, and their belief system was attached to somebody else's belief system. And with that information alone, it's not anything that I had necessarily experienced that was my own experience. It was all attached to the church and the things that I had been told about God, limiting my perception about God. And so when you're on this quest to really tap into the presence of God, tap into who God is to you, it's almost like you have to break away from all the noise, everything that you were told, and just ask yourself, what is God? What is this God that I've been told about? What is God? Meditating day or night, that question, ultimately, God itself will reveal the answer. We would have to do this, however, with the mind completely free of all concepts. all concepts of God and begin as if we were completely alone with God. We will not accept anybody else's opinion, anybody else's experience, or anybody else's point of view. We will have our own experience with God. If we could do that, we will find that sooner or later, God will reveal itself to us in such an unmistakable terms that never again will we have any doubts as to what God is or how to pray. There have been and there are men who have known God face to face. We can be assured of the geniusness their knowledge by the fruitage of their teachings. John was such a one, and to John the nature of God was love. We might take the word love and see if we can arrive at some understanding of what that word means and how it would operate even on our level of understanding. For example, if we are completely and exclusively controlled by love, what would our relationship to our child be? And what would our conduct toward that child be? Will we find in that love any trace of desire to wound or to cause him to suffer in any way? Listen, this is interesting to me because when we talk about for God so loved the world, this is coming back just like this connection right here. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whosoever believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. I want to talk about for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, because in a lot of our framework of belief, we've been taught that love comes with brutal sacrifice. Ooh. Oh my goodness. And if God loved Jesus that much, and if God is all knowing, how could a love be established here in this space by the imagery of blood and being whipped? Is that really love, or is that the image that we've been given about love? I just have to pause because that just hit me when we really think about love. Let's run that back. For example, if we were completely and exclusively controlled by love, and if God is controlled by love, what would our relationship to our child be? And what would our conduct toward that child be? Man, would that be a whole unpacking? Because if God loved Jesus, if God loved Jesus, his only begotten son, what kind of love sends you to the earth to be tortured and listen for the sake of, okay, we'll get out of that because that's just, man. Will we find in that love any trace of a desire to wound or to cause him to suffer in any way? Will we find in our consciousness any desire to put him in prison as a punishment for his sins, or to imprison him in a diseased body or a diseased mind? Would we find within ourselves a single trace of desire for punishment or revenge? No. In love, there is correction and discipline, but there is no punishment. There's no withholding of any good. As we dwell on this, we shall gain an entirely new concept of God and begin to comprehend the secret of spiritual living. As long as we are clinging to a God who can give us anything, even good, we have not arrived at an understanding of the true nature of God. God has nothing to give us. Everything that God is, we already are. All that God has is already ours. We can come into the experience of this by relaxing from the fear of what we shall or shall not have tomorrow. If some night we could sit at a window, noting how dark it is and watching the movement of the stars and the moon. And if we could just stay at that window all night long until the morning light breaks, and then when the coming of full daylight, when the moon and the stars are no more, but in their place is the sun, we might ask ourselves what part we have played in all of this. What did we have to do with it? If we could watch trees or flowers blooming, and when they are in full bloom, again ask ourselves what part we have played in this, whether we have earned it or deserved it or been worthy of it. We should soon find that God brought all their glories to us without any question as to our worthiness or unworthiness. God is infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, and infinite understanding. There is never a need for us to tell God anything or ask anything of God. Let me run that back. There's never a need for us to tell God anything or to ask anything of God, except perhaps for more light, more understanding, more vision. It is God's function to govern its creation. It is God's function to govern its creation, to maintain it and sustain it. And all of this is it and all of this it does without any help from man. God does not need the aid of man. God does not need any suggestions or any advice from man. We are God governed only in proportion as we understand this and entrust ourselves to God's care. Any attempt to tell God what our need is indicates a distrust and a lack of understanding of the nature of God and acts as a barrier, keeping us from the very blessings that are rightfully ours as heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ in God. To know him aright is life eternal. To know him incorrectly is to set up a sense of separation between ourselves and that which really is our life, and get it out, Titus, and the continuity and harmony of our being. We must understand the nature of God as fulfillment. That preludes the possibility of thinking of God as that from which we are going to get something. God is fulfillment. God is fulfilling itself. Just as the sun shining and pouring forth its warmth and light is fulfilling itself as the sun. We do not pray to the sun to send out more light or to give more warmth. If we were going to utter any kind of prayer in regard to the sun, our prayer would be an inner realization that it is. The sun is shining. The sun is warmth. The sun is light. So it is with God. We would never think of God as that from which we accept to derive some good. We should never think of God as that which can bring peace on earth. There is no such God. The only God there is a God who is life eternal. God, let me run that back. There is no such God. The only God there is a God who is life eternal. God does not give us life eternal. God cannot withhold life eternal. God does not give us life today or tomorrow and then withhold life when we are 120. God is life eternal. And our prayer is the realization of that truth. God is fulfillment. If we are not benefiting by the grace of God, that has nothing to do with God, but with our having removed ourselves, at least in belief, from the grace of God. Spirit is in no way related to the human scene. A spiritual God cannot be brought down to a material concept. Ooh, let me say that again. A spiritual God cannot be brought down to a material concept of life. Let us lift ourselves above the material concept of life into God. Listen, this is why when I think about Joe Dispenza and other meditation coaches and my coach and the things that I have experienced and the meditations that I have experienced. And one of the things that I'm hearing is, go into this place of the unknown with no attachment. Like where you are nothing. You're not a father, you're not a mother, you have no responsibilities, And this is what this is giving me. Like going into that place that we call God or divine intelligence is to go in there with no material concept about life, because the spirit doesn't work by way of this 3D dimensional space. To seek God without a purpose is the ultimate of spiritual realization. To achieve that realization, we must come to that place in consciousness, and I'm going to say awareness. We must become aware where our whole heart and soul yearn for God and only for God, rather than for any good, any harmony, any healing, or any peace that may come to us. In the state of self-surrender, we can say, I seek nothing but thee. I must know thee, whom to know aright is life eternal. Let me live and move and have my being in thee, with thee. I can accept whatever else may come. What difference then will it make if I have a body or do not have a body? If I am healthy or unhealthy? In thy presence is fullness of life. When consciousness rises to that place of devotion where God is God to us, only for the sake of God, that is when we have attained the infinite way of life. Let's say that again. When consciousness, awareness, arises to that place of devotion where God is God to us, only for the sake of God. We're not asking for anything. We just want to experience God. And in my right now place of learning and really discovering God for me, I am realizing that it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's a frequency. So to go in and seek this energy, this frequency, this vibe, this presence is the ultimate goal. Man, this is the infinite way of life. In the infinite way, life knows no limitation whatsoever. There's no longer any concern as to whether we are rich or poor, sick or well. Our only object in life is to know Him aright, to come face to face with God, to be able to tabernacle consciously with God, to be able to commune with God. This is a joy greater than has ever been known by the man of earth. Regardless of how many millions he may acquire, or how many honors may have been bestowed upon him. None of these equals the joy, the peace, and the infinite and eternal harmony experienced by the person who knows God. Now, there is a complete disregard of the outward effects which are the result of the practices of the presence. The whole heart and mind and soul are centered on realizing the presence so that we may come to that point within ourselves where the Spirit of God is upon us. And we experience that inner joy, which is the presence. We feel that pulsing spirit down to our very fingertips. Our whole being and our whole body are alive and alert with it. Meeting God face to face is the end of the road. There is nothing more to be desired. When we come to this point, we know exactly what Paul meant when he said, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. It is almost as if we were looking over our shoulder and watching the Christ work in us and through us and for us. It goes before us. Listen, it goes before us. And I feel like what I'm imagining, envisioning, is that when we tap into this place of meditation, prayer, whatever we want to call it, and we tap into that frequency and that vibration, is it's almost like it, what is the word I want to use? It echoes out. Or what the word I saw was, is echoes. I know it could echo, but there's another ripple. That's the word I'm looking for. When we tap into prayer, meditation, and get into that space of frequency and that vibration that is God, that energy, that frequency goes out before us. It's almost like it sets the table it spreads the table before us, like that place knows that we're coming, so things begin to move and shift, or that person heart begins to shift because the conversations get ready to be had. You know what I mean? That's the imagery I'm getting, and I make this connection because when you start to look at science, it starts talking about how our aura, we have an energetic field around us, and this is taking me to that place of knowing that we have an energetic field around us, and how when we go into prayer and meditation, that field is expansive. It goes before us. It makes the way clear so that when we arrive, we have the parking spot, right? When we arrive, they're approving us for with no down payments. Stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, meeting God face to face is the end of the road. There's nothing more to be desired. When we come to this point, we know exactly what Paul meant when he said, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. It is almost as if we were looking over our shoulder and watching the Christ work in us and through us and for us. It goes before us. If supply is needed, it provides it. If a home is needed, it provides it. If transportation is needed, it provides it. We never have to take thought for these things. All we have to do is to continue our life of contemplation. And then we shall find that in our business, profession, or artistic pursuits, we shall have greater discernment, ability, health, inspiration, joy, and remuneration. Remuneration. I think I said that right. However, we shall not be praying to achieve these results. They will flow of their own accord, just as the sun rises in the morning or the sun sets at night without any conscious effort on the part of anyone. All that is necessary is to wait. Just wait long enough, and the sun will come up tomorrow morning and go down again at night. We shall have nothing to do with it except to contemplate it, behold it, watch it. We did not have to pray to God about it, and we did not have to know the truth about it. Let me say that again. We did not have to pray to God about it, and we did not have to know the truth about it. I feel like this line is a little tricky for me, the last line. Like just the conversation around truth. For me, it implies and really takes the thought from me that we don't control the outcome. We don't attach ourselves to the outcome. Right? We don't have to know. We did not have to know the truth about it. We didn't have to know how it was going to arrive. That's how that's landing for me. So with us, we learn not to try mentally to manipulate our lives, hoping that by affirming some truth, some good will be brought into our experience. Life becomes a complete joy because just as we need have no concern for the movement of the sun, moon, or stars, so we need feed no burden of responsibility for our supply or our health. All these are a matter of God's grace. Our only responsibility is that the Spirit of God dwell in us. And at one time or another, we must begin to make the transition from being man whose breath is in his nostrils, who cannot please God, and who is under the law of God, to being the child of God. Let's say that again. At one point or another, we must begin to make the transition from being man whose breath is in his nostrils, who cannot please God, and who is not under the law of God, to being the child of God. From that point on, we cannot fail. It is only a matter of devotion. We cannot use God, but we can yield ourselves to God and let God use us. We can contemplate the things of God and meditate upon the spiritual, invisible, and unseen until we actually feel that spirit and presence of God within us. Then let our prayer be this: give me more wisdom, give me more light, teach me how to abide in thy word. Let me want thee for thy sake only. Let me never ask for a single thing for any person. Let me tabernacle and commune with thee. Let my only purpose be to unite with thee. Again, this chapter is really reminding me, or reminding us, that we have everything that we need. But are we patient enough to rest in that knowing? Are we patient enough to let things come to us? Or will we hustle and bustle to try to manipulate the system so that we can have it? Can you wait in that space of being uncomfortable? Whew, this is a discipline. I like this line. It is only a matter of devotion. Devotion. Are you committed to it? I wanna look this up. Devotion. Let's define devotion, because it's a matter of devotion. Devotion, love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause. Ooh, let's say that again. Love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause. Are you, or are you willing to be in a place of devotion to love being in this stillness, in the presence of God, in meditation, without asking for anything? Can you fall in love with that? Man, an occasional contact with God, like the proverbial grain of truth, will work wonders. But we cannot expect a complete and perfect spiritual existence simply because once in a while we remember to turn to God or to devote a few hours to the study of spiritual books. Listen, and I want to say, because sometimes the word God can be triggering. So I want to say it in a different way, or feel called to say it away. An occasional contact with sitting with yourself, with getting still, like the proverbial grain of truth, will work wonders. But we cannot expect a complete and perfect spiritual existence simply because once in a while we remember to turn to the awareness of self or to stillness. I'm gonna say it another way, because this is good. An occasional contact with love, like the proverbial grain of truth, will work wonders. But we cannot expect a complete and perfect spiritual existence simply because once in a while we remember to turn to love or to devote a few hours to the study of spiritual books or your practice. It requires prayer without ceasing to make life a continuous experience of good. Then we find that God, who is the all-knowing mind, the divine omnipresence, divine omnipotence, and omniscience, always goes before us to provide these things necessary for our experience. That is the reason we never have to tell it what we need. We never have to tell it that we need money, a home, companionship, freedom, food, or clothing. We never have to tell God anything about our needs. Let's say that again. Sorry, I'm having a moment because I'm sitting here thinking about, I was talking to a friend, and I'm looking at doing some things, and it's like you cannot trade this type of freedom for anything. It's priceless. And it's almost like, as an artist creative who's building, It's like God already knows. God already knows what you've been called to do. God already knows the things that are coming up before you. God already knows. So we never have to tell God anything about our needs because God already knows. God is the infinite intelligence of the universe, that which formed it, that which maintains and sustains it without any human advice. If God can do that for the great universe, let us trust our individual being and body to that same presence and power. There is only one kind of prayer which honors God. Father within me. Father within me, so much closer to me than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. You are the all-knowing intelligence of this universe, the intelligence which created it. You are the divine love which has supplied this earth with vegetables and flowers, diamonds, uranium, oil, gold, silver, and platinum. You have filled the heavens with your glory, the stars, sun, and moon, and the oceans with the rhythmic activity of the tides. I acknowledge your presence in all things and as all things. Even before I pray, Father, you know my needs. Even before I lift my eyes or thoughts to you, you not only know my needs, but it is your good pleasure to give me the whole kingdom. I turn to you now not to tell you my need, but to receive the fulfillment of my need. I come to you now seeking things, not seeking persons, but seeking your grace, your benediction, the gift of yourself. Let the peace that passes all understanding descend upon me. Your peace, an inner peace, an inner grace, an inner joy, and an inner harmony. Let the Holy Ghost enfold and envelop me. Let the Christ Spirit fill my soul, fill my mind, fill my being, and fill my body. In quietness and in confidence shall be my strength, because the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. It is the power of peace and grace to all who touch my consciousness. Let us go to God for the joy of experiencing God and then see what God does. Let us go to God for the joy of experiencing God and then see what God does. When we begin this moment to take an important step forward, give up desire. Sorry, let me say that again. We can begin this moment to take an important step forward, give up desire. I'll run it back. We can begin this moment to take an important step forward, give up desire. We must give up desire for any and every form of good. From today on, there's only one desire permitted us, and that desire is to experience God. We must demonstrate God, not persons, things, or conditions. This is really the cardinal principle of the whole infinite way. The infinite way teaches that we have the right to demonstrate the Spirit of God, the right to demonstrate the realization of God. But we do not have the right to demonstrate any person, place, or thing. You must be very certain that we are seeking only the realization of God's grace, that we are seeking only to be in the Spirit of the Lord. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. From all limitation, all discord, all harmony. Our entire demonstration must be the realization of God, the demonstration of God, the consciousness of God's presence. Realization is demonstration. It is the realization of the activity of God in consciousness that makes all spiritual good appear. It is the realization of God's grace as our sufficiency that makes the demonstration. The realization of any spiritual truth brings it into manifestation as effect. Merely to say, He perfected that which concerneth me. Will do nothing for us, but a realization of this truth instantly makes it effective in our experience. Realization is demonstration, but it must be a realization of the kingdom of God, realization of the activity of God, realization of the Spirit of God, realization of God as one power, realization of God as one substance, realization of God as the only cause, realization of God as the all in all. Realization of God is demonstration. If we know the correct letter of truth, if we understand that God's will is love, that God's will is life eternal, if we know that God's will is what we experience, his immortality, the infinity of his being, we shall not concern ourselves with telling God about our needs. All we need is live in the constant attempt to realize God more and more, to have a deeper and deeper realization of God. Of that God is our very own being. The joy of communing with God is enough. Father, all I want is my relationship with thee, my conscious realization of the Christ, not for any reason, just for the joy of sitting here with the Christ. Christ liveth my life. The moment I have Christ, I have no life of my own to live. The responsibility is on his shoulders. From now on, all I have to do is to follow where he leads, into green pastures beside the still waters, to make the contact with the Christ for no other purpose than to experience it. It is the highest form of demonstration there is on earth. Listen, I'm excited. So tomorrow we're going to start chapter 3 in the inner chamber, Monday nights. And I'm just in awe of being reminded of the power of getting into stillness. I was in stillness this morning and I just sat for about an hour. And the peace that you have when you come out of these transit spaces is sometimes unexplainable. And my experience this week, because I devoted more time to meditation and prayer, is it was a good week. And I didn't necessarily have to chase anything, but what was meant for me found me. And I want you to have that experience. I want you to have an experience that solidifies your belief first in yourself, and in that experience, connect that to the God of your understanding. So much to unpack, but I want us to just take a moment just to rest in silence and just focus your attention on your breath, in the room, in the space that you're in. Just gaze internally around you, thinking about the color on the walls, thinking about what's underneath you. Is it a chair? Is it a pillow? And just be present in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. And I offer this prayer just to say, God, thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the awareness that you are everywhere. Thank you for the awareness that you're living in us, through us, as us. And that we don't have to chase anything, but we can be still and know. So thank you. And we'll let it be so, and so it is. So I want to invite you, for those that enjoy this experience, if you're watching the replay, and if you're here now, we're going to be having an event March the 19th called Your Voice is Medicine, Sound Immersion. And we're going to be doing some singing, some breath work, and giving you tools to regulate your nervous system. Link is in the bio, And I would also like to invite you to join us tomorrow night in the inner chamber, where we going to start chapter 3, have more conversation. It'll be a Zoom, so I'll be able to have more interactions with you, to have conversation around what's coming up for you, and really expand this space as with community and with like-minded individuals. So thank you for taking your time to show up here and reflect and read and conversate. And I'm going to sing this to you, and then we're going to hop out. Okay? Goes a little something like this. Just in case you haven't heard it in a while, and just in case you really need to know, just in case you haven't heard it in a while, just in case you really need to know. Oh, I love you back, hey. I love you. I love you. I love you back, hey. I love you. I love you. I love you back, hey. I love you. I love you. I love you back. All right, happy Sunday, fam. Enjoy your time with your family. Make sure you take care of yourself, and we'll see you guys later.